Hello everyone, with you as always TimFilm. And in this video, we're going to take apart the movie 57 Seconds. It's a very interesting movie, and it really impressed me. So enjoy the movie and here we go. At an airport, a plane is about to take off while the police open fire on it. Inside the plane, Franklin knows it's about to crash and sees his life flash before his eyes. He's a tech blogger known as Remedy, and he writes about achieving optimal health. Sitting next to him is Sig, the owner of a pharmaceutical company that released a drug knowing it was highly addictive and deadly, causing thousands of deaths. It all started 3 months ago. Franklin gets a job as a ticket taker at a special event because he's desperate to get an interview with Anton, a health and technology guru who's been working on a way to achieve optimal health without drugs. Unfortunately, Franklin arrives late and makes a bad impression, so he doesn't get the full explanation of how to scan people's tri-bands to verify their tickets. When Franklin makes a mistake while scanning and his boss scolds him harshly, his co-worker Jala comes to his defense and the two end up chatting. They really hit it off, and Franklin asks Jala out, but instead of giving him her number, she sets an alarm on his phone for him to pick her up after the presentation. Afterwards, Franklin rushes to the bathroom and meets up with Andy, who has stolen and hacked a tri-band from his boss so that Franklin can access the presentation because he couldn't afford the ticket. With the band, Franklin manages to get past the guards at the backstage door just in time to see Anton arrive with the mysterious assistant Ingram. Franklin tries to hide behind the curtains, but Anton finds him anyway and asks who and why. He seems to be talking to his assistant, and Franklin notices that Anton has a fancy ring on his finger. Anton also guesses that Franklin's tri-band isn't his, but he tells him to stay and enjoy the show. Then Anton goes on stage and is greeted by a very enthusiastic crowd, except for Renee and Calvert, who look very serious and out of place. Anton begins the presentation by talking about the tri-band, his invention. It's a bracelet that people wear on their wrist that monitors their physiology to then decode their DNA and create a health plan unique to each user. It also sends alerts with reminders about when and what to eat and exercise. But Anton has a big announcement today. He's created the tri-band 5, which is designed to make users naturally enjoy doing things that are good for their health, without the need for reminders. It should also eliminate the need for medication, including those used for diabetes, high blood pressure, and even addiction. Meanwhile, at the backstage door, one of the guards knocks out the other with a stun gun and then rushes toward the stage, bumping into Franklin. The guard fires his gun in the air, saying that Anton's company is controlling everyone, but at that moment, Franklin hits him with a rolling table, giving the other guards a chance to arrest the guy. Renee and Calvert are not happy with the turn of events, but Anton is grateful for Franklin's help and tells him he'll get the interview later. Before leaving, Anton tells Franklin to check his hand, which is bleeding. Afterwards, Franklin gets his hand bandaged and the head of security takes his tri-band as part of the evidence. The guy leaves and Franklin suddenly notices Anton's ring on the floor, so he picks it up when his phone rings with Jala's alarm. Franklin takes a closer look at the ring and as he touches the stone, he suddenly finds himself replaying the last moment. The head of security says the same words, Jala's alarm goes off, and Franklin finds the ring again. Scared and nervous, Franklin covers the ring with his bandage before leaving for the restaurant. While waiting for Jala, he looks at the ring again, and when the waitress comes to check on him, she touches the ring, resetting the moment. Okay, wait. Did you remember to subscribe to the channel? Oh, yeah, and like it, and now we can move on. Franklin checks the time on his phone to confirm that the ring turns back time and tries to use it again, but the stone has turned white and needs time to recharge. When the waitress comes back, he keeps the ring away from her. He then runs another test with the stopwatch on his phone and discovers that the ring can turn back time for exactly 57 seconds. Just then, Jala arrives and they decide to go somewhere nice. They chat and bond during their date, and Franklin learns that Jala is an artist. In return, he tells her about his work writing articles about how technology affects health, some of which have even been published in a newspaper. Suddenly, Jala kisses Franklin and they end up in his messy apartment. As they get frisky, Jala notices a woman's purse in his closet and thinks he has a girlfriend, so she wants to leave. Franklin immediately rewinds time and closes the closet before Jala can see the purse, but then she sees a picture of a woman and tries to leave again. Using the ring, Franklin rewinds time and hides both the purse and the picture before taking Jala to his bed. Now that things are heating up, every time Jala makes a naughty request, Franklin goes back and does the thing before she even asks, so he can look like an amazing lover. The next morning, Renee and Calvert go to see their boss, who turns out to be Sig. He wonders if the attack was just a publicity stunt and orders Calvert to follow Franklin for clues. Sig also asks Renee to dig up information on the new tri-ban and find a way to prove that it is not real, because if it stops people from taking medicine, he won't make any money anymore. Meanwhile, Franklin and Jala are having breakfast together when Franklin's car is suddenly towed while Calvert secretly watches. Franklin tries to stop it with the ring, but he's not fast enough, and now he has to come up with enough money to get his car back. After seeing a commercial on TV, Franklin gets an idea. He visits a casino and starts using his ring to win every time. Soon he's making a lot of money and attracting the attention of a lot of people, including Calvert, who finds it very suspicious. When he has enough money, Franklin buys a nice new car and decides he can make even more money. He returns to the casino and wins some more money, but when he tries to leave, he's attacked by the casino staff. Franklin immediately rewinds time and tries to sneak around, even deciding to leave the money behind, but the guys always follow him and beat him up in the parking lot. They think Franklin is cheating and try to get him to confess, but at that moment, Calvert arrives and calls them out, so the employees let Franklin go after telling him to never come back. Afterwards, Calvert takes Franklin to lunch and tries to get him to confess how he did it, but Franklin says he's just lucky. Next, Calvert invites him to meet Sig, but Franklin turns him down because he knows Sig is behind the drug that killed thousands of people. Calvert decides to give him his card anyway. Sometime later, Jala visits Franklin and is surprised to see that he's bought new furniture to make his apartment look much nicer. When she uses Franklin's computer, she discovers a wallpaper of a woman, and Franklin finally explains. It's his twin sister, who died of an overdose 4 years ago. She had been in a car accident and was given Sig's medicine, which made her an addict. Franklin sells serious articles to the newspaper under his real name, but on his blog he uses the nickname Remedy to speak out against evil companies like Sig's. Jala calls him heroic and promises to keep his secret, so Franklin reveals that he bought a bunch of art supplies for her. The couple is about to go for a ride in the new car when Franklin gets a call from Anton saying he's ready for the interview. In fact, Ingram is already there to pick him up. When Franklin makes it to the office, Anton gives him 2 tri-bands for him and Jala. Then they talk about Anton's invention, and he explains that he hopes to get rid of medicine altogether. The idea is to prevent accidents as well as diseases, and Anton plans to use a special substance that contains quantum particles to achieve this. He ends the interview by telling Franklin to follow his sense of justice. Later that evening, Franklin wonders if he should accept the meeting with Sig to try to get him to admit his crime, and Jala tells him to go for it. The next day, Calvert introduces Sig to Franklin, who immediately mentions his sister and punches Sig in the face. He then rewinds time and pretends to respect Sig while they talk about his work. Calvert has told Sig about Franklin's luck at the casino, so he wants to make a bet with him. If Franklin can guess what happens after he whistles, he'll pay him $100,000 for every article he writes praising his company. If he fails, he'll write 5 articles at half his current rate. Franklin accepts and guesses that a dog will come, but when Sig whistles, one of his models comes to kiss and massage him. However, Franklin rewinds time and guesses correctly, so now he has a new job. After Franklin leaves, Sig mentions that Anton must be behind this, so he wants to keep Franklin around. In the evening, Franklin meets with Jala, who comments that this job is a sellout. However, Franklin explains that he just wants to earn Sig's trust to access his files and expose the company. He promises to use the money for good, like improving her life, and even dares to take out his sister's ring to propose to Jala, who quickly says yes. The next day, Franklin offers Sig the job of planning a big event-style piece to rebrand the company in a few months as a sneaky way to avoid having to write a bunch of puff pieces. Sig likes the idea and Franklin gets his own office in the house. When he's left alone, one of the models tries to hit on him, but Franklin immediately turns her down, saying he's taken. This frustrates Sig, who spies on Franklin, hoping to get blackmail material. He tells Renee and Calvert to come up with a new plan to find out how Franklin does his trick. Soon, Franklin and Jala move into a beautiful house to start a new life. Sig invites them on a trip to Miami in his private plane and makes them leave the tri-bands behind under the excuse that it is company policy, but he really thinks Anton is helping Franklin do the trick. The group makes it to a casino and Franklin starts winning again with the ring, but neither Sig nor security can detect foul play. Renee befriends Jala to try to get some information out of her, but Jala knows nothing. Later, while Franklin and Jala are dancing, Franklin is shocked to discover Ingram watching them, so he decides to hide the ring in his pocket. Moments later, the group is having drinks when suddenly a man approaches them and opens fire to make Sig pay for the deaths he caused. Jala is shot as well, so Franklin grabs his ring and immediately rewinds time. When the man approaches them again, Franklin stops him by hitting him over the head with a bottle. When they return home, Franklin discovers that the news is calling him a hero, and Jala agrees. She also reminds him of her upcoming art show, and Franklin promises he'll be there. Suddenly, the newscast reveals the identity of the shooter, and Franklin realizes he knew him. The shooter's wife used to work for Sig, and one day she just showed up dead in the office, but there was no media coverage. The guy appears on screen and says they should investigate the company because they're blackmailing everyone. The next day, Franklin asks Renee for the dead woman's file, claiming he needs to kill that story too. Renee promises to look into it, but then rushes off to warn Sig. Calvert also thinks Franklin is dangerous because he thinks both attacks were staged to make him look good. With a plan in mind, Sig brings the file to Franklin, who discovers it's blank. Sig blames it on Renee's incompetence and offers Franklin another gift for helping him discover all these problems in his company. Moments later, the duo is at an out-of-town bar. Sig shares some shots and gives Franklin his car, then takes him upstairs where a bunch of women are waiting. Franklin tries to say no, but just then he realizes that his drink has been spiked and he can't defend himself. The women drag him inside to have some fun and Sig records the whole thing. Franklin wakes up in the middle of the night. He rushes home in the new car and finds Anton there, who has apparently bought all of Jala's art. Anton teases Franklin about working for Sig and leaves, so now Jala can snap at Franklin for missing her event and coming back smelling of alcohol. The two start arguing about the morality of Franklin's job, and when Franklin points out that she enjoys the money he makes, she tries to leave. Franklin goes after her, and in the struggle they accidentally fall into the pool, so he quickly rewinds time to fix it. When they reappear in the house, Jala can tell that something strange has happened, and Franklin realizes that people who touch him when it happens will also remember the rewind. Franklin explains how it works, and Jala realizes that he's been using the ring on her too, that he's always known what to say or do to her. Feeling that their relationship is a lie, Jala leaves and Franklin decides it's time to put an end to it. The next day, Franklin goes to Renee with a gun to demand the combination to her safe. She immediately screams for help, so Franklin rewinds and tries again, only to accidentally touch something on her desk that hurts him and causes him to accidentally shoot her. After another rewind, he covers her mouth and forces her to write down the combination, so he rewinds again and tries the numbers on the safe, only to discover that it was a false number. Frustrated, Franklin does another rewind and puts a pillow on Renee's lap to shoot her in the leg, forcing her to give him the real combination. With another reset, he tries the number and it works, so he rewinds again and this time just tells Renee that he'll be working in his office all afternoon. After that, Franklin waits for Renee to leave and opens the safe to steal all the evidence. Then Franklin goes home and asks Andy to help him post all the evidence of Sig's crimes during an important basketball game, but Andy is reluctant because he might lose his job. However, Franklin sends a bunch of money to his account and Andy immediately accepts. The next day, Franklin prepares to leave town while calling Jala to no avail. When the game finally starts, Andy plays the presentation Franklin made on the big screens, but it also reaches all the news outlets. The video shows security footage of Calvert killing the shooter's wife and how she was killed because she knew the truth about Sig's medicine. With the world watching, Franklin tries to leave his house, but is knocked out before he can get in his car. Moments later, Franklin wakes up at an airport where the guards drag him to the private plane while Sig orders him to tell the world that his video was fake. Franklin refuses to cooperate, but then Sig reveals that he also kidnapped Jala. As they're pushed together, Jala tells him she's proud of what he's done, and Franklin asks her to use the ring. Jala touches the stone and steps on the guard's foot to escape, running toward the now arriving police cars. Franklin is pushed into the plane and it takes off, flying over the police who open fire on them. A bullet causes the engine to fail and Calvert wants to land, but Sig tells him to keep going. Franklin wonders what to do with the ring and Sig suddenly touches him, causing time to rewind. When Sig realizes what the ring can do, he tries to reset it a few times to stop the plane from crashing, but 57 seconds isn't enough to stop the bullet from hitting the engine. Franklin smiles, not caring what happens if it means Sig dies. A distraught Sig runs to Calvert to tell him to turn back, but it's too late and the plane crashes. Seconds later, the police and Jala arrive at the crash site. Renee, Calvert and Franklin have managed to survive the accident, but right after they leave the plane explodes with Sig inside. Soon Anton shows up with his assistant and reveals that Ingram deliberately gave Franklin the ring because he was the perfect candidate to test it. It turns out that the ring is made of the quantum crystals Anton discovered, and now he wants Franklin to work for him. Franklin refuses, saying that the power of the ring is as addictive as Sig's medicine and therefore dangerous. Anton wants the ring back, but Franklin throws it to the ground and destroys it. This causes Ingram to do some calculations, and Anton shockingly says that the offer still stands because he needs someone who can say no to him. Franklin says no again and gives Anton the tri-bands back, then leaves with Jala to build a life together without needing this strange technology. Thank you for watching this episode to the end. Write your opinion in the comments and see you in the next video.